right, post-draft, it again has these two sides of Dolphin fans. Skills are going to take us everywhere we need to go. Don't worry about the offensive line. Or the offensive line is a mess or could be a mess with a few injuries. We're doomed. And there is legitimacy to both these points. But in the middle, with nuance and understanding, you can really get to understand how things actually play out and can play out. And so I want to go over the understanding today of creating tension on the football field amongst the defense to create space in order to attack an area and give yourself the best chance of success. And what I want to go over today is many ways to do it. But I want to go over how talent, speed talent, and how formation can create this tension. And when you get tension, you can get distortions. And when you get distortions, you get wide vacant space that's open. There's 11 guys on the defense, 50 yards across, and, wherever to the end zone is a lot of, whatever, 20, 30, 40, or if you're in the red zone. But, it's a lot. It could be a lot of space, in the middle of the field. And that's why kind of as you get to the red zone, it gets a little easy to defend things. And that's why touchdowns are, really optimal and good sign of an offense, because when that defense gets crunched, even though it's got the 50 wide and you're down to 5 or 10, obviously plus the end zone, it gets harder to crack that defense. But when you're in an early part of the field and you're in the mid part of the field, there is so much space for these 11 guys to cover. So there's many ways to get your guys into space to do their thing. And I want to go over through this formation, through the speed talent of the Dolphins, how Achane can do an amazing job for us. A lot of people are talking about what he's going to do in the run game. And to me, I'm a little bit more muted, or I need to wait and see on that. Because the run game, you can create these tensions to get space, but it's a lot harder, and it comes down to the actual blocking. And I believe the speed and ability to move Achane is going to make him do some nice things. But this offensive line struggles to run block. But that's not the end of the world. You see, we're a passing flash offense. That's where we're going. That's where we are. That's what McDaniel wants. That's what Greer wants. And they leaned into it. And the short throwing game can take the role through, for the most part, not all, for the most part, of a running game. I still believe you need that run game. You need that block in critical moments in certain situations, which I've said over and over again. But for the most part, this flash offense that we have has the potential to create all the space needed. And when you drop guys like The Chosen and Waddle and Hill and Mostert and now Achane into space, that's where this magic can happen. The points can go on, the chunk yards, and then backed by a very good defense, you can go far. Again, I still believe in the offensive line, still believe in these critical moments. But this film's going to show you that we are going to find space, and we're not totally out of this world. But on the next part, I'm going to show you that, I'm going to tell you, Terron is still a big key. And an article came out kind of saying what I said about a year ago, and that's going to be a major key. And then I'm going to tie into Hayes, our rookie, some stuff about him. There's been some things brought up about where he can go, what he can do. So I'm going to kind of dial that in a little bit. And then the last part I want to get into is a refrain on Wilkens. I don't think I did the best job that I could have or wanted to on my last podcast. I'm going to dial in a little bit more on that. So that's the whole deal. I'm going to be going away on a business trip, so I won't be back. I'm going to do the live on Wednesday. I'm going to go over the Dolphins versus the Bills because I believe there is so much to learn from last year and even more importantly this year from that film for both teams. So I'm going to go over all of the game for the most part in all 22 film and break down some things that I've been talking about and maybe learn some stuff from what you guys have to say. But so I'm going to do this podcast and I'm going to do the live on Wednesday, and then I'll be gone for 6 days. And when I come back, I'll start it all up again. Savvy. Anyway, guys, I appreciate everything. I want to give you a shout out. Shout out to A-Spread, my sponsor, because without the two of you, this show ain't going down. A-Spread's betting software is the premier white label platform for bookies to manage their players and grow their sportsbook operation. Click the link in the description below to get set up in minutes. Ask for the Curtis promo and get a special introductory discount. All right, so Achane is 5'9", 185, and in Mostert's 5'10", 205. Now, both are fast. But if you've ever... When I was in my 20s, I was 180, 185 when I played, when I mostly ran. And then I had gotten down to 160, and I felt really fast at that point, 165, I think. But then I started playing, like, you know, the old man leagues of, like, flag football and stuff like that in my late 20s, and then I got up to 100. And there's a difference in all three of those phases. I was a different runner. I was still fast at 200. Don't be fooled. But it was like carrying something different around my waist. In college, I was 185, and I had to bulk up a little bit in order to play running back. And I was still very fast, quick, but still didn't have that when I was down to 165. And I went into a little bit bigger leagues, you know, in my mid-20s after college. And I was playing corner, and I was covering everybody and their mother. I think I was beaten once. And so the difference between Achane and Mostert, that 20 pounds roughly, and a 1-inch drop. And you could see the Achane's got very big legs. This allows him to sink his body a little bit better, to have a lower center of gravity, and to work more in space and be more poppy. Some people are saying he could bulk up to 200. Well, maybe, but you don't know exactly how that transitions. And to go from 185, 188 to 200, there's no way you could do that with clean weight, being muscle in a short period of time unless you're juicing. At this stage, these guys have been working out for years. You could put maybe 2-3 pounds of muscle a year if you're lucky, naturally. If you're juicing, you could put 20 or 30 even when you've reached your peak, which he has. So I don't know if it behooves him and it's good for him to add that extra weight. But Mostert's a bigger guy who's fast, and then you got Achane is the little poppy guy. So I want to go over this film here showing, the distortions that are created, that the OC is creating on purpose through talent, speed, and also formation to create space, but in the pass game. And it's just one play, but there's a lot of stuff to unpack, and you can see how with the addition of The Chosen and whoever else we might bring on board and the right calls, how you can get Achane into space. And I like his first gear. I don't think his second gear is super great. That third and fourth gear is ridiculous. But when you get a guys out in space on the move, you're already in your second gear and you're clicking on the third gear, and that's when you could see this guy do some magic. So let's take a look at the film and see what we see. All right, we remember this play was a big, big play after a false start, second or third and long, and Mostert makes that sweet move, pop and lock and drive, and gets chased out by Edmonds. Let's take another look here. You can see safety's playing over the top. That means, you got one guy at least single high. But then you look at the second safety, and he's walking it back pre-snap. So it kind of tells, too, you got two high safety, over zone coverage. But then the two corners, they're playing off, and they're leaning back. So it definitely looks like you got some kind of deep shell coverage. But the interesting part here is the bunch look by the offense and the creeping of the linebackers who had seen some effective run game to drive them close to the line of scrimmage. Now, this creates a tension where you have the linebackers going to the line of scrimmage and then the secondary dropping. And so you get a push-pull effect, but that's further enhanced by the bunch look and the linebackers playing pinched. And so now you got this distortions and you got this tension that leaves the flats short and mid open. It's really where Tua's eyeing, and I think that's where McDaniel was planning on attacking with his play call. Now, the key to this, it's the running back. I mean, it could be the receivers or the tight end, but they're trying to drive guys back and create this tension. So it's the running back who's going to be the guy to get the ball into this area. And what he's going to do with McDaniel's going to do with that is he's going to add a little play action here to enhance that tension and create that space. And you can see the play action has Milano biting hard, Edmonds frozen, and Terron Johnson at the bottom frozen. So that was a perfect play action. And now you can see the flat, short and middle wide open, and he's just waiting. He's waiting for Mostert to get upfield, to drop that ball, get himself a nice throw, get his eyes looking, and then he delivers. And we'll go back and look at it again now with all that information. You can see right here. And now right there, he's launching the ball. And you can see, look at that, 5 yards distance. He does a skip and then drives upfield. And Edmonds drives him out with a nice little move to stop and a little stutter step there. It's very hint of it. And then he gets the first down. But this is where I think Achane can do better. That was a great move by Mostert. It was a great setup by McDaniel. You could see how the play action on real run action created that distortion. Waddle and Hill tells the two safeties, play over. You got to play over. Okay? And they brought 4 guys deep, kept the linebackers held with the legit play action, the back turn by Tua where they didn't see the ball. All this stuff comes together to create the magic. And that separation, that distortions on the side, which freed up all that huge space in the flats to the middle on both the perimeters, is where Mostert got the ball. He had about 12 yards just before the ball, when they were setting up the throw, and then when he got the ball, I forgot it was like 6 or 7, and that was all it took. When it got close, it was about 1 or 2. He did the skip and pop and then drove. But Achane is able to sink his hips better. He is more sudden than Mostert. They're probably about the same speed, but he is far more sudden. And guys, if you drop those hips and you pop and go just a fraction quicker, you can get past Edmonds, and now you're making a longer play out of it. And this can happen over the middle. This can happen out the flats of sides. This can create all kind of plays out of this that this kid can run. I don't know his complement of routes, but just little things like that is where I think this kid can shine, because he's going to be able to get that separation. He's going to be able to pop, lock, and roll quicker than Mostert. Mostert's good, I think, to get the ball more often because he's more physical. But man, do I really like Achane with these distortions that are created through formation and motions and all the other stuff. Play actions, legit play actions really mean something, guys. You see that there. You can go back to other film and see where there wasn't legit play action and how differently it looks. And then you can add, obviously, all that speed talent. So that's it. I believe Achane's a good pickup. Is the one I wanted? I don't think so. I wanted Washington, but we'll see. I might have wanted a lineman. We'll see. But reality is this kid's a player, and used right for, 8 to 12 snaps a game, he could be electric for us. So I'm going to get into Wilkens. I covered Wilkens last time, showing how Deron Payne and Dexter Lawrence, they got these big mega $90 million contracts, $60 million guaranteed. Second and third most highest player. And is Wilkens going to be the guy we're going to aim at? Because it's going to come down, can he affect the pass as well? Or are you willing to pay for just a run stopper? Now, in my podcast, I did Pro Football Reference. They had him as 3.5 sacks, but Pro Football Focus, PFF, had him at 7 sacks. But I didn't talk, so I got to figure out what it was. I think it was more like 7. I don't know where they got 3.5. I should have been more diligent. But maybe they factor in just real actual sacks and not half sacks and stuff like that. Anyway, but he also had 8 deflections, and that's a lot. And when you go look at him overall in the pass rush, if you want to use Pro Football Focus, PFF, they got him about 29th for pass rush. But then when you add that run defense in, and then you add the philosophy and schematic and the way he's able to absorb and stop the run game and get offenses off schedule to give you those long down and distances, what does his value mean? It's not 1+1 here. And I think that if you just bill him as, oh, he's a run stopper, not the best pass rusher, then, I think you're wrong. Because if he's able to affect the offense and create conducive situations for the defense and the secondary, what is his value? And with all those stops, with all those tackles, with that ability to deflect the football and still get some decent pressure. It was not like he was doing poo-poo, So I am inclined to agree that he is worth it, but I won't say you're wrong if you say he's not. So then Armstead, I want to go over to here. My man Armstead, I didn't do enough coverage of him last year, and I felt bad about it. You can see here, Terron Armstead is the tide that lifts all boats on Miami's offensive line. Whoa! I was saying that last year. I've been saying that for a long time. This was Phins something. It's a pretty big. I forgot what it was. Phins Insider. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not the smartest guy. But it's a big channel. It was on page. It was on Bleacher Report. And so this is the truth. This is why it's so critical to have Terron stay healthy. He is the key. And all this tension that I talked about and the distortions, it goes out the door if the offensive line falls apart. Without Terron, it falls apart. So he is still the main critical piece. And it's good to see a little bit more come out about how awesome my man Terron is. Now, take a look here quick. We got Hayes, Ryan Hayes in the 7th. Some people thinking he's going to start or make it. And I just want to put this out here. He was a tight end who really didn't start the offensive line until college. And, that doesn't mean this or that. But he says, I don't know about a ton about what the Dolphins want to do to me yet, but I'll play anywhere. I can play tackle. Hayes said on April 29th, play tackle, both tackles a little bit in college, mostly left, but I'd be open to moving inside. Whatever gets me on the field and helps the team win. So I'm open. In high school, I came into college as a tight end, so I actually hadn't played any O-line until I got to Michigan, Hayes said. And then for my first year, I played on the right side, and then the last 4 years mainly on left tackle. I don't see him being a tackle. I don't see him definitely starting at all this year. If he came to college and he didn't play in high school, he's probably going to be a little bit raw, and it's probably one of the reasons he dropped. But this does not mean he's not a good pick. It does not mean he's going to help us at some point. It does not mean that some of those limitations, maybe physically or ability-wise or experience-wise, can't be mitigated and reduced by sliding inside. And that's why I said right off the bat, I think this guy's going to play guard. And it's very interesting that he says he's willing to play guard. And I suppose that's where his chances are going to really come. Anything could be happen. He could come in and be, a Hall of Fame. I don't know. I got to see him in front of NFL guys and doing a lot of stuff. But clearly his lack of experience and some of the misgivings about his talent, or some of the shortcomings, I should say, about his talent, I think it means inside at left guard, which really, for me, I'll get into more again, I spoke about it last year, is the key position. And if he could fill that, that'd be really good for us. So let's see how it plays out. Overall, guys, the talent, the ability to call, the defense is going to create a lot of situations for us to be successful. If we're not, we totally screwed the pooch, wet the bed, dipped ourselves in kerosene, and jumped in a volcano. Now, it's in those critical moments, in those moments that say, you know what, flash ball, fun ball, it's going to be a lot harder because of the weather or the situation or the defense, with that opposing defense that has a good offense. In those moments, the offensive line, the run game, and a bunch of other things are going to be critical. But overall, the speed and what we can do is startling. Anything can change, though. Hill goes down for the year, and everything changes. The Chosen and Waddle is nice, but so we have to wait and see how this plays out. What do these defenses do in year 2 of looking at McDaniel. Okay? How does McDaniel respond? There's a lot of things. But I do believe, despite the thinness on this offensive line and concerns at left guard and right tackle, we still have a load of talent and should be highly successful, and there's no reason we shouldn't. So anyway, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate all you guys do. Thanks for the likes, the subscribes, the comments, views. Appreciate everything, guys. Hopefully I'll see you Wednesday night at live. If not, I'll catch you when I get back. Be well. See you soon. Go Phins. Start building your own online sports book today by getting signed up with aceBread.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.